Ming-Chi Kuo is back at it again, and this time telling us more about new iPhone cameras, but wait for it. As yes, even if we're waiting for camera improvements with the next iPhones, it seems that the major upgrades are not necessarily ready. Now, speaking of changes, it seems that something weird is going to happen with the iPhone's camera design process, and the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 will reportedly bring an S Pen, but not in the way we would prefer. I'm Jaime Rivera, and let's just say I really want to see competitors magically follow Apple and their new camera design. This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today begin with deals, of course, starting with OnePlus that is, I guess, trying to sweeten the pot on last year's phones, but not necessarily what I would call effectively, as well, B&H has the OnePlus 8T available for $150 off, leaving it at $600. Now, if we talk Apple, Amazon currently has the Apple Watch Series 6 $50 off, leaving it at $479 for the 44mm variant. Yes, Samsung's deals are still going, meaning you could still get the Galaxy S21 for $100, S21 Plus for $300, and the Ultra for $500 if you have a device for trade-in. However, they are bringing back the Galaxy Z Fold 2 deal, where you can get one half off, leaving it at $1,000, but again, you need a device for trade-in. Finally, the Dell XPS 13 is still available for $500 off on Amazon, leaving the Intel Core i7 32 gigs of RAM and 2TB of storage variant for $2,000. We have more deals on Samsung products, AirPods, and more in the description. Now, let's stick to official news, but moving the spotlight onto Sony, as the company finally launched the Xperia 1 Mark III, and can I just say that this is the first time in years, and I mean a lot of years, that I'm excited about an Xperia. Let's start with the specs. I mean, it's a Snapdragon 888 5G, 12 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of expandable storage, and yes, it actually also brings a headphone jack. Now, when it comes to the design, you're getting a 6.5-inch 4K OLED running at 120 Hz, which sounds pretty great, and you get the frosted glass back. For the cameras, you're getting three 12-megapixel sensors, with a third one being a periscopic telephoto that's capable of 2 separate focal lengths. Finally, for other details, the phone brings a 4,500 mAh battery, 30-watt fast charging, but then it only supports one flavor of 5G, Sub-6 for some reason. And Sony also packed in some nice audio features for both the speakers and the beloved headphone jack. Oh, and by the way, that Xperia Pro feature where you can use the phone as a monitor that also streams content for Sony cameras is also available with an optional USB-C dongle. That said, the phone will be available in early summer 2021, and according to a Russian store that has it set for pre-orders, it could be around $1,300, but then you also have the Xperia 5 Mark III, which pretty much matches the phone almost spec for spec with a couple of changes for less of a price. Now let's move the spotlight on to Samsung with a blend of official news and then leaks. The company sent out press invitations for an event happening on April 28th, where they claim we'll be getting their most powerful Galaxy. Now, if you remember the leaks that we covered about a month ago from Evan Blass, these probably won't be smartphones, so stay tuned for that. Now, moving on to those phones, we are expecting Samsung's next flagships to be the Z Fold 3 and the Z Flip 2, launching as early as July this year, with one of the biggest upgrades being the Z Fold adopting S Pen support. Well, according to a South Korean outlet, the Galaxy Z Fold 3 will bring the S Pen support, but it'll take a different approach, the one that we saw with the S21 Ultra, with no built-in slot to house the stylus. And I know, you're probably saying that the Z Fold has so much space, but reportedly that was the plan, and then Sammy apparently faced some structural challenges, and that built-in slot is no longer viable for them. Probably they sent it to Zach before they sent it for manufacturing. And just to jog your memory, some rumors of the Z Fold 3 include bringing an LTPO display with an under-display camera, a 4380 mAh battery, and it'll bring at least 256 gigs of storage. Of course, along with the fact that they will be tweaking the S Pen for it to support or work on the UTG. We'll see what Samsung plans to launch, as I mean, this device is pretty large to carry, and yet that is, for me, the perfect form factor for the S Pen. But all right, let's switch on to Apple for the rest of the show because things are getting weird. I mean, earlier this week, we got some CAD renders from MySmartPrice that showed a different design for the iPhone 13 where we had a smaller notch and a different camera array. Well, now we have some renders of the iPhone 13 mini rocking this design, and according to some reports, this might be the last mini we'll be getting, by the way, but that's a separate report. However, these renders help us see this new design that might actually happen. And at the front, you get the smaller notch, which was leaked in the display panel a couple of weeks ago. But then at the back, these renders show the dual camera now sitting diagonally from each other. Instead of vertically as it currently is. Your guess is as good as mine as to why, but for these cameras, we should most likely expect typical 12 megapixel sensors, and more on those on the next segment, and the A15 Bionic powering the show. The rest of the design language remains pretty much the same with flat sides and thin bezels. We'll see if other leaks start including this design as, I mean, it actually doesn't look bad, but it depends on who you ask. But anyways, finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk about the 2022 iPhones and Ming-Chi Kuo. I know it's early, but if Ming-Chi Kuo is chiming in, it's for a reason. According to a new report from him, the 2022 iPhones will be bringing some major camera upgrades, with the biggest one being a switch to a 48 megapixel camera sensor. Like, finally, the report mentions that in terms of pixel size, the iPhone 14, or whatever the name is going to be, will support direct 48 megapixel output and then 12 megapixel output with pixel binning simultaneously. Kuo claims that it's unclear on whether Sony or Samsung will be making these sensors, but the pros should bring this 48 megapixel camera. Another new feature for these pros include 8K video capture, but it looks like Apple wants it for more than just bragging rights. Apparently, these 8K videos will be better suited for AR and VR devices, as we know that Apple is heavily working on those. Other rumors for these 2022 iPhones include a punch hole design for at least some of the models, a chip based on a 4nm process, and a periscopic telephoto lens. So yeah, I know, Apple has been lagging behind in the whole pixel count, but you have to admit that most companies don't really do a good job at pixel binning. So I'm really curious to see what Cupertino brings to the table. But in today's question, let us know. I mean, do you care more about megapixel count on your camera or results? Because in my case, I'll give you an idea. This Sony a7S III that I'm using to film the daily is probably one of my favorite photography cameras because of its dynamic range, which is made capable because of its large full-frame sensor with insanely large pixels, which it's actually a 12 megapixel sensor. So I feel that that's the reason why Apple did not move away. And I really wish that I could see a camera that bins, that does an amazing job, and so far only Huawei has proven me right in that. So anyways, that's just me. Leave us a comment down below. I'd love to know your opinion. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Panginow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social medias. Our extended coverage happens on Instagram. And follow me on my personal handles to see me. Imagine the inevitable. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.